Hello, everyone. Let's get started. My name is Priya Bhutani. Thank you so much for joining us today. The goal for today's discussion is to give you an overview of medical device regulatory landscape in Argentina. For those of you who may not be familiar with RegDesk, we have the next generation regulatory platform that uses machine learning to make global compliance easier and faster. Imagine the ease of having access to checklists of requirements per country, managing global changes associated with EU MDR implementation, and preparing new registrations or amendments faster. We'd be happy to discuss how your teams can work smarter. With us today, we have a leading expert from Argentina, Mr. Pablo Carbonell. Mr. Carbonell is an industrial engineer by training. He has over 30 years of experience in medical device design, quality assurance, risk management, and regulatory affairs. He currently runs his own medical device consulting firm that can act as authorized agent in just the next few months. And Mr. Carbonell also has is an active member of expert groups in organizations like ISO, where he helps set standards related to medical device design. He's also a professor at a couple different universities in Argentina. So we're very lucky to have Mr. Pablo Carbonell here with us today. Before we begin, though, I'd like to turn our attention to our attendees. Thank you again for joining us. At the end of this meeting, we'll be holding a brief Q&A. We encourage your participation, so please refer to the chat button on your screen. In the interest of time, please submit your questions throughout the course of our talk, and we'll try to address as many of your questions as possible. Also, we would love to get your feedback on today's webinar and ideas you may have for future topics. We'll send a short survey post the webinar. Pablo, welcome. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So let's get started. Let's start off with a classification system in Argentina. So how are products classified in Argentina? Do they follow US or European classification system, or do they have their own rules?
Okay, thank you, Priya, for inviting. Hi to everyone. So let's start with the classification of products in Argentina. The law, according to the regulatory system of Argentina, is similar to the old European Medical Device Directive 93/42. And there are, in our case, we have 4 risk class. We have class 1 is less risk, class 4 is the higher risk. In the case of medical devices that works in combination with another, there are separate rules that are applied to each one. Accessories are also classified separate from the main medical device, and we have to take care also with software that operates medical devices because they have the same risk class than the medical device. If we have a medical device that applies with different rules, the higher class risk will be applied to the medical device. And this classification frame is the same in all countries that are members of Mercosur. That means Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay also. That's how we make medical devices classification here. It's similar. The rules, if you read the rules, they are more or less the same way that they classify them.
Okay, and we have some viewers who have IVDs. So I want to make a point to cover IVDs as well. Do IVDs have separate classification system and regulatory process, or does it fall within the medical device regulations?
Yes, the IVDs products have been recognized with the regulatory of the year 2006. Have been recognized as medical devices, but they have their own regulatory system. They have 2 main regulatory laws that they regulate them. There are 4 risk class, A, B, C, and D. Class A, less risk. Class D, higher risk. They have particular requirements for labels, for instructions for use, or instruction manual that is called here for IVDs, and also for making the technical data. They are similar to medical devices, not the same. So you have to follow some rules that are specially done for IVDs. Sometimes you have to check if the IVD is under the rule of medical devices, and sometimes may be classified only as IVDs. You have to check this.
Okay, very well. And moving on to the pathways. So, some countries have abbreviated pathway. Are there multiple regulatory pathways for approval? Or especially, let's say, if you have an FDA approval or a CE mark, can you get to market faster? Is there even that type of a concept in Argentina?
Well, sometimes countries that want to sell their products here that came from with certifications, European certifications, CE mark or FDA certifications, are much easy to register the product. But Argentina has a regulatory frame that, as I told before, is the same to the countries members of Mercosur. Basically, the system is very, very similar to the old European system, 9342 Medical Device Directive. First, the company must apply for an authorization of authorization of manufacturer or importer alone, or manufacturer and importer. This process takes some time, and they must have a technical director that, especially for sterile products or single-use products, must be a pharmacist. And in most cases, the company have to wait until the ANMAT, the national regulatory system, authorize the company. Once the company has the authorization, has a file number, with this file number, they have to apply for the registry of each family of products. And this is done according to other law, and must fulfill with, if it is IVD, it must follow one path. If it is medical device, follow another path, must classify the product, must have the test, must present risk analysis and essential requirements. The essential requirements are identical the points are identical to the one used in Europe, except for point 13, because point 13 in the essential requirements of the European Medical Device Directive is referred to labels, and labels are treated separately here in one of the laws. In the case that products are imported, we recommend that the company must have a sales representative here, because it's the only authorized by the ANMAT to ask for the file for the registry of the product, and once he has the authorization, is the only approved to import the product to Argentina. You cannot send to other that can import the products.
Okay, well, thank you for that descriptive answer. Let's get more into specifics of the product. So I know clients have combination products. So what are good strategies for getting approval for combination products? And I think this was a question that was presented to us. So they're talking about combination products, those with a drug component incorporated into the medical device. Are there any special considerations for these types of devices?
Well, for Argentina, don't have a special law or special regulatory frame for combination products. All are treated here as IVD, in vitro diagnostic, and they are treated, as I told you, especially as an IVD with the IVD law, or if the product falls into a medical device classification treated by the medical device regulation. But no, we don't have a special regulation for combination products. They are, for us, here are IVD products.
Okay. And then is there a chance that that combination product could also be sometimes a drug or a device? Meaning, can it ever fall into the category of drug as well?
No, you have to check the classification of the product. It depends on what is the intended use of the product. If the intended use of the products is the main intended use of the products is of the medical device, you have to treat as the medical device regulation. In case the product, the medical device product is has no is not the main use, because the drug is the main use, has the main use, you have to approve by a drug product.
Okay. You know, I want to get into, this is a topic this has just too many clients have asked us a question about authorized agents. So we know that authorized agent is required in Argentina, but the role of an authorized agent is very different in Argentina than it is in most of the countries around the world. Can you please help explain what is the role of authorized agent in the sense of, you know, what's required for somebody to be an authorized agent? Because there are very few entities in Argentina that can act as an AR, because the AR has to be an importer. So can you please touch upon that and explain that to our viewers?
Yes, for the Argentine regulation, the authorized agent, that is usually called, here is called the importer, that acts in most cases as the sales representative. Some companies that wants to come and sell their products here must find a sales representative. Then this sales representative or importer must have the ANMAT authorization and fulfill with a GMP according with the regulatory system of here. They also must have a technical director, as I told you before, pharmacists for sterile or single-use or implantable medical devices. The pharmacist is the responsible to inform the ANMAT in case of recall of the products and adverse events anywhere in the world, including Argentina. That is, this is of life. It's a must. Also is responsible, the importer or sales representative is responsible to submit the registry of the products to the ANMAT, and is the holder of the registry, and is also the responsible in case it must fulfill the test for the products. Sometimes some tests that came from abroad from Argentina are accepted, some no. As I told you before, if the product has CE mark or FDA, it's better. It's much easier to get the registry of Argentina, because the CE mark or the FDA approval is sometimes enough for the ANMAT. But you have to fulfill all the requirements that the regulations ask for, what we call a family of products.
So I think where some clients get surprised in Argentina is that in other countries, AR fees are typically annual flat fee. But if because in Argentina, the AR is playing the role of an importer, the quotes that clients are receiving from these entities who can act as an importer are essentially similar in nature as you would have with a distributor, correct? Because these importer companies are charging clients a fee for every shipment, so there's a percentage fee there. They also hold the products in a warehouse for the client. So there are a lot of these additional fees. It's not a flat fee of 5,000 US dollars, let's say, per year. The fee structure is a bit more complex.
Yes, but Argentina has a tax system difficult. But in the case of the importer, for the regulation of Argentina, the importer is just the only authorized to get the product inside Argentina. He can also, once the product is what we say here, nationalized here, according to the national regulation, he can resell the products to other, what is called here, distributors. But unfortunately, the holder of the registry cannot authorize other companies to import directly or straight from the manufacturer. In Argentina, it is not possible to do this. In Argentina, the importer is the only authorized to import the product from the manufacturer, and once then, he can resell the product to distributors. But it is also possible that if the manufacturer desires, select an importer, that the importer can only import the product and hold the registry of the product, and once he can check for other sales representative, but this sales representative cannot import the products. The product must be imported only by the holder of the registry.
Got it. So I'm glad that's clarified. This was also a question that had come up. Are there any Argentinian-specific post-market surveillance requirements? And are those only for authorized representatives, or are global events reported to ANMAT as well? So specific requirements for post-market surveillance, and then do companies have to report all global events to ANMAT, or just events that are related to Argentina to ANMAT?
Yes, first of all, post-market surveillance requirements, they are defined in the GMP regulation. It is defined, very well defined, in a point for corrective and preventive actions, and we have another point for claim management. And this is, the companies are obliged to have procedures or standard procedures for this, and is when the ANMAT audit the company, they must have these procedures active. In the case of distributors, they also must have a procedure for claim management. Sometimes they don't have, they are not obliged for procedure for corrective and preventive actions, because they are only for manufacturers or importers. But in the case of distributors, they must have procedures for claim management. If the distributor or the importer, if the importer is obliged by the national regulation of ANMAT, is obliged to report to them adverse events, no matter if they are if they happen in Argentina or they happen in the world. They are obliged. One of the documents that the company must present when is asking for the registry of the products is a letter, a compromise letter that we say here, that is, this letter must be in some cases with apostille, legalized or consularized, and the company, the importer, are obliged, say that the importer and the manufacturer are obliged to inform adverse events to ANMAT in case they happen. So they are regulatory requirements.
Okay. And then what about importation requirements, such as import permits for shipment or inclusion of certificates with each shipment? Are there any specific importation requirements for Argentina?
Okay, ANMAT here approve individual imports in two types of import: registered products or non-registered products. Registered products are products that are sold to are imported to be sold in the local market. They have a registry. They have been previously approved by the ANMAT. On the other side, non-registered products. For example, products for clinical trials or tests, for example. All medical devices, when they come from Argentina, the custom of Argentina, when they identify that are medical devices, they ask for the authorization of ANMAT to be presented with all the other legal products for imports. In the case of registered products, a company may import in two different types. In the case the products are imported in the final state, so packaged and sterile, just to be sold and used in the local market, the products may become as a finished product. But sometimes some companies may decide to import semi-finished product. For example, if they want to import forgings for manufacture heat stamps. In that case, the company must ask to must ask the authorization to ANMAT to import in bulk product, and must present the registry of the product, the authorization, to make a national product, a made in Argentina product. So if you are making a made in Argentina product or manufacturing and you want to import forging from France, for example, you can do, but you also need an authorization of ANMAT.
And the fees, so the fees for ANMAT, are those paid directly by the authorized representative, the importer, or does the manufacturer have to pay those fees?
Yes. The fees, the custom fees and the ANMAT fees, all are paid by the importer because they only settle in Argentina. For example, if the importer has a contract with the manufacturer that he will recognize or he will pay, that is a contract between particular companies, and it doesn't count with ANMAT or the customs. What only count with ANMAT and customs is only the importer, the sales representative, or the company settled in Argentina, and this is very important, with the authorizations and GMPs, and with an active GMP system to import in Argentina.
Moving on, so I know we're pressed for time a little bit, so I do want to ask, we always like to ask something like this about a country. So what is the hardest or the most complex process or part of getting approval in Argentina?
In the case of importer, he has that has no approval, and want to import. That is the toughest part, because he has to get the approval of the ANMAT, and he has to contract the technical director. He has to pay until waiting for the approval of the ANMAT. He has to fulfill the requirement, has GMP, make a GMP system. He has to put to work, and in some cases they have to rent for a place and have to make all the facilities to import the products, the deposits, etc. That is the toughest part. It will take more than 1 year, a year and a half. And once he has the approval, he has to ask for the registry of the product, and it will take another maybe 6 months at least. And that is the most complex part. What we recommend is work with a company that knows very well how the regulatory system of Argentina works. Unfortunately, web pages of ANMAT is not too complete. It has instruction, but they are, in some cases, they are clear, but in some cases they need to update. And in other cases, what we suggest is on the other side, what we recommend is check very well the importer. Check if the importer is a very solid company here, has years, have been years selling the products that the company wants to sell in Argentina. He has the knowledge, and how is the commercialization area. They have to check very well, because in case the importer and sales representative is not working well, they have to start again with the registry of the product if the manufacturer decide to change the sales representative. So you have to check very well this.
Yeah, so it sounds like importer, which seems to be the biggest struggle, make sure that that's resolved, and then that importer should know how to register products. So
Yes.
quickly, timelines. In your experience, what is the average timeline for a class 2A, B, and then 3, 4? Like what is the timelines that foreign manufacturers can expect for it to take? From the time, let's say, after they have identified an importer, what are the approval timelines that you are seeing?
You are talking once the company has the authorization of ANMAT as importer.
Yes, as an importer, but now they need to register. The registry. How long does it take for ANMAT to review the technical file and approve it?
Class 1 and 2 now are registered by an electronic system that has a year and a half or 2 years. That is a quick system. You have to upload all the documents. It is done by a national system that is working with electronic procedures. And if it is okay for class 1 and 2, everything is okay. Maybe in no more than 30 to 45 days, you have the products approved. In case you uploaded all the documents asked by the ANMAT. That is new. It is electronic, an electronic system, and the ANMAT take their own days to analyze, and they have no more than 15 to 20 days to analyze the documents. So that is, for class 1 and 2, they are fast. In the case of class 3 and 4, no, you have to present the papers signed manually to ask for the registry. And it takes not less than 6 months to 8, or it takes up to 1 year. It depends on how clear is the documents you are presenting, the test that the products received. That's why I told you before that in case you have CE mark or FDA, it will be better. It will be faster because we can make faster the registry present, and it's almost clear to the ANMAT. In case products came from other countries that have no FDA or CE mark, or are coming from other countries that has not a very strict vigilance system. We consider strict vigilance system countries like Australia, Israel, Canada, European Community, and United States, FDA. For example, if you want to import products from Korea or China, it depends. If the company shows FDA or CE, it's okay. If the company don't show, it depends on the documents, how strong is the document we have to present. But to end, ANMAT now is working in a new system, electronic system, that you can submit all the documents as I told you for class 1 and class 2, for class 3 and class 4, also electronic, but now it's not finished. They are now working. We think that in maybe in less 6 months to 1 year, we'll be ready to make the registry of the product from class 1 to class 4, all electronically.
Got it. And the application that's being submitted, all the documents, including the tests, everything, not just the label, has to be in Spanish.
Yes, the Spanish is the only language recognized by the ANMAT. So if you are coming from a country with language different to Spanish, you have 2 ways. First, you have to send the document. If the document is legal, must be with apostille or maybe with consularization. And then once the document is here, we have to translate by an official translator to Spanish and present all the documents to ANMAT. But if the company can make, for example, contracts, or can make that documents that are legals in Spanish, it is better. If they are, for example, done in both language, for example, English and Spanish, or French and Spanish, or German and Spanish, it will be better because the document is in both languages. But labels, instruction for use, for example, instruction for use that came from CE mark products, we don't need to translate because the instruction for use come in Spanish. So we don't have to translate them. In case you have to present, for example, we have to make the dossier, the technical dossier to present to ANMAT, we have to do all in Spanish. What we sometimes do is ask for the dossier or the technical file, the essential requirements, and translate here.
Okay, well, we've run out of time, and if for the viewers, if you have any questions that I know some we didn't get to today, Please feel free to email us the questions at either Priya, Priya, at regdesk.co or desk, DESK, at regdesk.co, and we'll try to get those addressed for you. Again, thank you so much for everyone. And thank you especially, Pablo, for joining and for your valuable time and expert advice.
Thank you very much, Priya. And we are here. Anything you need, I'm here.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.